Hello, my fellow YouTubians. This is PSW. Well, number one, should I still say that? Number two, Happy New Year to everybody. This is incredible. So I started making YouTube videos back in 2010, and I've noticed that when I started making YouTube videos, it started in Minecraft before it was a big deal. And I'd like to thank all of those folks that have been around since the early days. I am very happy to have this channel yet. I keep it going strong. Well, lately I've been keeping it going strong. Let's rephrase that. So I posted a lot of videos back in the early days. And back then, it was a lot of 13-year-old folks. Now, I look at my stats, and it's a lot of 44? Let me look off to the side here. Sorry, folks. But a lot of the folks that I have now, the audience that I have now, is mainly people that are in the range of 35 to 44. So I'm guessing a lot of folks have been there since the beginning. And I have not shown my face in quite a while. Granted, it was like shooting pool. But I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. I have gained some new subscribers. And thank you to all the new subscribers. It is a journey. I'm happy that you guys are really liking the Madden. Not so much the NBA 2K25. But I enjoy posting up these videos, folks. And, you know, back in the day, it was so much fun. And now I just started having fun again. There was a huge period that I did not post any videos. But considering it's a new year, I figure, hey, let's keep that going. So I want you guys to tell me what types of videos you guys would like to see. Obviously, I'm going to keep on posting Madden 2023 because those things are going off the charts. I have not had that many views on videos in a very long time, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I'd like to say thank you, number one. Number two, Happy New Year, as I mentioned before. And I'm just kicking it old school. So I am using my old school Logitech, what is it? It is a C270 that ranks out at a whole 720p. So this is a very old webcam, and because I'm feeling a little nostalgic, I figured I'd use this. I'd like to say thank you again. It is a pleasure posting up videos again. It's a pleasure getting your guys' likes, getting your guys' views. I post up a Madden video. I'm getting over 100 views. I mean, that has not happened in years at this point. Couple of days ago, I posted up a Madden video, and currently it has over 260 views. Now, when I post up the NBA 2K25, on the other hand, well, those only go to like about 20-ish. But that being said, I just wanted to say thank you. And lately I've been watching a lot of videos about nostalgia and being a Gen Xer. I am a Gen Xer. I was born in the early 70's, so Star Wars was a thing, G.I. Joe, GoBots, Transformers, Mask. I mean, all of these things. And I think it was a few months ago now, we cleaned out Mom's old house, and guess what? I got a lot of my old Star Wars toys, Rock Lords, and everything like that back. I am so happy for those. Some of you may not know about Rock Lords, because that was kind of lower on the totem pole. But they were essentially Transformers that would turn into rocks. essentially. And I mean, the one memory that I have, and considering it's a holiday season right now, the one of the big things that I remember is getting my original Millennium Falcon. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. If you do not know, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Growing up in Gen X, like I said, I've been watching a lot of videos growing up in Gen X. I mean, we did roller skating. We did bikes. Parents would want us to go outside and just do whatever. It wasn't checking in ever so often. We didn't have cell phones. If you wanted to make a call, it was out on that old uh, telephone that would use the dials. And if you missed the number, guess what? You're redialing it. And I've seen some videos, like one of them was from a British kid and his mom, and they talked about kites with razor blades on them. I never did that. I never had razor blades on kites, but we did have the lawn darts, the big heavy lawn darts that you would launch up in the air, and you would just scatter in case it was coming towards you. And yes, we had a blast. And another view was building our own ramps, essentially, and just taking a BMX bike and launching over 5, 6 people and not thinking anything of it, not thinking a thing about it. It'd be like, well, I'd hate to be the person in the last, but you know what? We'd build that ramp high enough where we could clear everybody. I can honestly say, jumping, I never landed on anybody that was at the end, but bodies would be laying there, and yeah, that would not happen these days. We did not have helmets. We did not have pads. I remember skateboarding. When skateboarding was the big thing, my board was the Tony Hawk Claw board. And that Tony Hawk Claw board, we built a homemade launch ramp. We took it over to the funeral home because it was brand new tar. And we would ride that thing. And it just never crossed our mind. No helmet, no pads, no nothing. We would just go. Now, when I was going back home after one of those trips, I went across the parking lot to McDonald's where I lived. And I didn't pull up the wheels early enough to get over the tiny little curb that was going in the McDonald's parking lot. And I fell back. I nailed my head, got a concussion. Do not remember the people that drove me home. Mom and Dad were at work because we were latchkey kids, right? We would go to school. We'd come back home. We would ride our bikes to school. We'd come back home. Parents were out at work. And, that would be our life. And it would just be being outside all year round. All year round. Being outside, playing with friends, going over and knocking on your friends' doors and going, hey, you want to come out and play? And we just hang out the whole time outside, no matter what the weather was. If it was a snow day especially. Boy, if it was a snow day, boy. And I'm talking a huge snow day, not just a little tiny inch or two. And I'm in Minnesota. I've lived in Minnesota all my life. Not a tiny little bit, 1 or 2 inches of snow like it is today. It had to be a solid snowstorm in order for our school to be canceled. We did not have air conditioning in school. We didn't have air conditioning. It was you had to go in no matter what. No air conditioning. So you'd be hot. You couldn't wear like shorts. You could wear a t-shirt. But I got flagged a couple of times to go talk to the principal because of the different shirts that I wore. And you Gen Xers will probably know this. One of the shirts was like sex wax, right? I had to go down to the principal's office. They made me turn that shirt inside out because it had sex wax on it. Oh my God. And then the other T-shirts were like Big John, this, that, the other thing, and you just couldn't wear them. You couldn't wear them. We could not have a calculator watch on our wrist because we did not have cell phones. It was late in the day. It was later on where we finally got pagers. I did not have a computer in high school. Not at all. My senior year, finally, I had a typing class. And prior to that, in junior high, I do remember having Oregon Trail. So a lot of us Gen Xers are probably going to remember Oregon Trail. That was just life-changing. It was like, oh my God. Our first gaming systems were Pong. It was Pong, where you'd hit the ball back and forth. And then, I did not have an Atari. I actually had a Intellivision. That was my first real gaming system, was the Intellivision. There was Atari at the time. There was the Atari 2600. It was crazy. My grandpa, the original computer programmer, they used to use punch cards that were about yay big. Let's do that. About yay big right there. And the folks would have to put little punches in them. And if the punches did not collate with the room-size computer, literally a room-size computer, that really didn't, this is the early day of computer, folks. There was no internet. I did not get internet until I was close to about 20 years old. So throughout that whole time, if we wanted to research something, we had to look at the encyclopedia. We had to go through. There was no Wikipedia. There was no internet. The internet, when it finally came about, when I was about 20 years old, was dial-up. So you had the ching, ching type of sound, and it was very slow. Very slow, but hey, it was like, oh my God, I can get online with people. There was no fancy windows. There was nothing like that. Nothing like that. To write a program to have a stick figure to run across the screen. It took us in high school, and that was like my senior year. We wrote a little program to have a stick figure run across the bottom of it. And we spent literally 2 or 3 weeks trying to program this in simple language to have this little stick figure just run across the screen. It is insane. We actually had a computer class, not a computer class, a keyboarding class in high school, my senior year. And so nowadays, you guys have it so easy. So easy. So a lot of people do not understand the Gen X cycle. They don't understand how we actually lived. We say that about our parents, right? How did our parents live without VHS, without cassette tapes? So in my generation, the first type of music that you could have was on 8-tracks or record players. That was the first type. Then it moved to cassette tapes. And you know what you would do with cassette tapes? You would make your own mixtape. But to make that mixtape, you would buy a pack of blank cassette tapes. You'd use your ghetto blaster, something like it's bigger than this screen. And then it had 2 tape decks on it. And you would record from the radio. So you'd have the radio playing, FM, you would have FM playing, and you would have to hit record, actually it was playing record, to record the actual song. And then from that song, you couldn't easily just swap it over to another cassette tape. You had to literally load up another cassette tape. So if you had commercials and stuff within your original cassette tape, and it had some commercials on it, you would have to essentially wait for that song to come up again on the radio and try to record that in order to not have those commercials in it. But we do tapes that would have like mixtapes, so it would be stuff that we'd record off the radio. Oh, we're breaking the law. And it was a great time to live. It was a great time to live, and people just can't understand how awesome being a Gen Xer is. And that's why we're very resilient as well. We are so resilient we actually had to adapt to everything that was changing. Let's think about this. Right now, if you want to watch a movie, you can just bring it up on Netflix or whatever. If you want to buy it, you can buy it. If you want to rent it, you can rent it. In our day, you really couldn't just get a VHS and record it. You could if you were tricky enough. So you would take 2 VCRs, connect them together with the red, white, and yellow cords, put them together, and yeah, I did that. I would be able to put 3 movies on a Memorex cassette tape. And then it went over to CDs. And the first CD, when that came out, I was a senior in high school. And my very first CD was Ice Ice Baby. For Christmas, Santa gave me, well, obviously, yeah. I got a CD player, an actual CD player that I could listen to Ice Ice Baby. So that was like the very first CD I had. And then as time moved on, then it switched over. You went from CD. So I was in the generation where it started in 8-track, went to cassette tapes, and records were there, obviously. The televisions. My first television was literally about 13 inches tall and about a foot or 2 deep. And it had the little dials on it. You could get 3 channels. You could get channel 4, channel 5. Well, okay. You could get channel 4, channel 5, channel 9, and channel 11. So 4 channels. You could get 4 channels on there. But it wouldn't always reach out and get everything. So what you had to do was get the rabbit ears, plug them into the top, and if that wasn't working, you'd take one of the wire coat hangers. You'd stick the wire coat hanger into the slot with some tinfoil and hope that you could get that channel. And then, oh my God, I had 4 channels. Oh my God. Then VCRs came out. Color television came out. Granted, color TV was available before, but that was only if you were extremely rich, essentially. So black and white was pretty standard. The TV that my parents ended up getting was in literally like a whole wooden cabinet. It was so awesome. And then they got a VCR that was wider than the screen. It was probably 2 or 3 feet long. It was probably about a foot tall. And you'd hit the eject button, and the thing would rise up from the top where you could swap out the VHS. But it wasn't wireless. So even with TVs, you had to physically get up off your ass, change the channel, and try to tune it in so you could get it by adjusting the antenna or whatever. And then with the VHS, it had a remote, but it was a wired remote. So it was literally a plug-in, like an RCA jack type thing. Plug into the VHS, the VCR player, right? And that went back about 10 feet. So then from there, you could hit the buttons, but you couldn't adjust the volume. You'd have to get up off your ass again, go adjust the volume to get it to there. Oh my God. And then cable came out. Holy smokes, minds were blown. Cable television, we now got like 50 channels. And we actually had, when MTV was actually a music channel. Because MTV, if you guys don't know, means music television. That's what MTV is. Some of you might not even know that. But, oh my gosh, it actually played music. It wasn't all this reality stuff. We actually had sitcoms that were good. I mean, I remember some of my favorites were like The Great American Hero. There was this show called Automan. I mean, a lot of people, even in my generation, don't know about Automan. It was Knight Rider. It was Airwolf. It was Blue Thunder. It was all these crazy things, and I'm a Star Wars fan. So I got to see the original Star Wars in the theater. I think that was the first movie I remember seeing in the theater. And since then, I've been addicted to Star Wars. So it has been probably the most viewed movies I've had in a movie sense is Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Those are the most viewed videos. Lately, probably the next closest one would be Iron Man, the original Iron Man. Return of the Jedi was fine. There was a Halloween, and Michael Jackson was all the rage at that time. Michael Jackson was all the rage, so I dressed up as Michael Jackson. I had the leather jacket from Goodwill or Salvation Armor or something like that. I actually had the sparkly glove that I'd put on my hand, and I was Michael Jackson. It's just the way it was. One of the birthdays I strongly remember was Mork and Mindy. I had a Mork and Mindy cake at a McDonald's back when McDonald's actually had things you could do, and it was fantastic. Growing up in the 70's and 80's as a kid was the most, I do not regret it a bit. But a lot of these millennials and such they don't understand what what we had to go through, because we just changed. That was every new technology we had to adapt. We had to get up to speed on, if you will, and it was fantastic. It was great. I loved my childhood. I absolutely loved my childhood. And saying that, it kind of brings to mind, a few months ago, and I might have mentioned this earlier. I'm not sure if I did or not. Maybe I just ran it in my head. But we cleaned out my mom's old house because she bought a new house. And I got the original Millennium Falcon. That was the biggest gift I had ever gotten in my life. That was so good. And even back then, when I was just a kid, I said, I gotta organize this. So since then I've just organized. And it's fun. Got the Rock Lords, found some of my G.I. Joes, found a lot of my original Star Wars figures. I'm just stoked about it. It makes me very happy. It's nostalgia is a huge part. Very happy. Because I hadn't seen that stuff in literally 20 years. I'm like, do we even have this stuff yet? Granted, my Millennium Falcon is like yellowed and it doesn't have all the pieces to it. But it's like, yeah. When I found that, I was like, holy smokes, this is so awesome. And just talking about this brings back so many nostalgic memories. Because I can think of days when we spent Christmas and stompers were a thing. And if you don't know what stompers are, they're kind of like the size of a Matchbox or a Hot Wheels car, but it was four-wheel drive. It only went forward. It did not turn left or right. It had the foam wheels on it. So one year for Christmas at my grandma's house, we got stompers. So we built up this whole obstacle course to have our stompers go up, and it was fantastic. It was so good. So good. But yeah, I mean, being a 70's kid, being 70's, 80's kid, um, you know, BMX racing, I did that. We didn't have helmets. You know, jumping over people. We didn't have helmets. We didn't have pads. It was so, parents on a weekend would be like, go play. And we'd just be outside. We could go, we'd ride miles on our bike. We'd go from one end of the town all the way up to the other to go swim in the pool. I mean, we would just do that. We'd go in. My dad was a smoker. God rest his soul. He passed away a couple of years ago at this point. But they'd give us a note to go pick up cigarettes for our dad. And, you know, you're a way minor, but you gave him the note, you gave him the cash, and boom, they just give it to you. Now, I don't recall a time where it was like beer or alcohol, but I do remember cigarettes, because there were several times where I went out and picked up cigarettes for my dad. Granted, he quit smoking many, 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 many years ago when he got cancer. But up to that point, and then we'd ride our bicycles from one end of town to the other, and we'd just be out all day. All day we'd just drive around our bicycles. And if we had a dollar bill, holy smokes, we were rich. We would bicycle, and I remember clearly, we would ride bicycle to the local gas station because they had Pal bubblegum for 1 cent each. So we could get 100 pieces of Pal bubblegum and just have a riot with it. Garbage Pail Kids were huge at that time as well. It's just, thinking back, it's like, man, these memories. And kids nowadays, they're just glued to their phones and whatever. And it's just like, live a little bit at least. But, of course, we're the generation that grew up with not that much technology. Like I said, I was in my 20s when we finally got internet. And that, you know, that was life-changing. And then a while later, we ended up getting high-speed internet. Holy smokes. And now, if you don't have internet, you're just, I don't know anybody that doesn't have internet at this point. So, but yeah, you'd have to do the dial-up, and it would take so long. And you wouldn't have these nice, elaborate web pages. It would literally be like text boxes. Now, if you wanted to look at other material, if you will, you couldn't find it there. No. If you would, you know, some friend might have a Playboy or something like that. And then it's like, oh. That's the way it was back then. It wasn't so accessible. It was, you had to actually build relationships with people. If you wanted to talk to a girl, you couldn't just send her a text message. You actually had to go up to her and say hi and go from there. Yeah, we dealt with a whole lot of rejection, but I'm proud of that because that just builds us up. Now, for me, I started working when I was 14 years old. And it's kind of crazy. A lot of my friends that have kids now, it's just ridiculous. They're 19, 20 years old and have never had a job in their lives. It's like, really? You've never ever had a job in your life? Well, no. And one of the guys I know, his kid is 19 years old. He's scared to drive an actual car. He's scared to drive a car. He's 19 years old. When I turned 16, 17, I was ecstatic to get out and get my driver's license. Ecstatic. I wanted to get that thing so bad. But prior to getting up to that, and actually I didn't get my license till I was 17. Because prior to that, like I said, I was working when I was 14 years old. I had to buy my own 10-speed because our family was not rich. We were not well off. And so that's part of the reason that I started working when I was 14 years old, as well as my brothers. And then I had to buy my own 10-speed bicycle, right? So then after that, I was like, okay, it's okay to drive the bicycle. And yeah, we had to either ride the bus to school or ride our bicycles to school. No matter what the weather. No matter what the weather. It could be winter. But more than likely, if it's winter, you're riding the bus. But especially during the spring, fall, summer, or spring and fall rather, you're riding your bicycle in. But then I wanted to get a moped. But I didn't want one of those cheesy, and at the time, mopeds actually had pedals on them. So you would crank the pedals, kind of like electric bikes nowadays, but it actually took gas. And you would have to crank the pedals to go. But I wanted a moped, but I didn't want the pedals. And at that time, and a lot of you probably don't even know about them, unless you're in my generation, the sprees and razzes were a huge thing. And those things, if you had one of those, boy, you are popular as can be. And me, I didn't have a spree or razz. I went out to New Brighton, Minnesota, and picked up a track moped. But the moped did not have pedals on it. It had pegs on it. So with that, and mine actually had 2 gears. So my moped, if I was going down the hill in town, I could get that puppy up to about 40, 45, where the sprees and razzes would only go up to about 30, maybe 32 if they were lucky, maybe. So people would want to race me. You know, those sprees and razzes would get me off the start, but then I'd hit second gear, and I learned how to time that thing, so as soon as I felt it go into second gear, I'd let off and crank it again, and it would hit second gear, and then I'd just fly right past them. And it was so good. It was so good. And then when I was 17, hence the name of my channel, I started shooting pool. So, yeah, PoolSharkWizard, that's me. For those of you that are new subscribers and have not seen me, this is me. And I appreciate you. But I originally got the name PoolSharkWizard because Yahoo used to be a thing, which it doesn't even exist anymore, but I still use that channel. And that's where the name came from. And when I was trying to come up with a name back when email started, it was like, okay, I like playing pool, so I did Pool Shark, and then, you know, it would have been, at that time, you know, Pool Shark 3000 and something or other. So then I was looking around my house, and I had this picture, this kind of foil picture of a wizard, and I'm like, maybe that could be something. So then I saw that picture, and I did PoolSharkWizard, and boom, nobody took it, and boom, here I am. So I started my original YouTube channel, which I have linked down below, which was originally just PoolSharkWizard. And then, you know, after a while, and this is the early YouTube days, folks. Well, not super early like 2005, but around that 2010 era when Minecraft was becoming popular. Um, I started the channel going down that journey, and boy, my old videos on there are just horrid. Not a good mic, very, um, how do you say, when you say your S's and stuff like that, it was just horrid. Horrid. But I didn't know any better. I didn't know anything because it was all new to everybody. And back then, we didn't have OBS. Everybody used Fraps, which you had to pay for, and it wouldn't do all the. So, I mean, if you look at a lot of the old YouTubers, they all recorded their videos on Fraps, pretty much, and then edit them in photo, and not in Photoshop, but in Adobe, pretty much, or Windows Media. That's where I did mine, was Windows Media Player, and from there, then eventually I was able to get partnered. But the problem with getting partnered back then, and it wasn't, and I wouldn't say it's super easy nowadays, but back then it's like you really had to be good. And it was, gosh, what was the big one out there? It was Red. I'll think about it later. Sorry, but I was able to get partnered by Yaush, and Yaush no longer exists. So I had to change my channel name. So then all I did was throw a "the" in front of it, and boom, ThePoolSharkWizard. Now, however, I have not made money from that for a very long time, and all the money I was making way back then was only literally $18 a month or something like that. It was just bad. But now they have the new restrictions where you have to get. I have the subscriptions, I have the other thing, but the only thing that I don't have is the 300 or 3,000 watch hours is the only thing that I don't have. But, you know, as you guys have noticed, is I've been posting up videos almost every day for a little while now. I did take a little break from between Madden Season 1 and Madden Season 2. And to be honest, the next Madden video I will be posting, I believe, is the Super Bowl. And yes, it's still Kirk Cousins and that, so it's not the current cast, if you will. But at the same time, you have to remember I'm playing Madden 23, which was released way back in 2022. So there's that. But boy, I think this video has been going on for quite a while, and it's refreshing to actually talk to you guys, and personally just thank you so much for watching my videos, and I want you guys to tell me what other videos you guys would like to see, because yes, I'm doing Madden, and I will continue doing the Madden. And I've been doing the NBA 2K25, and that's just not going all that well. But the Madden, I have been so impressed. Thank you. So impressed. I am actually shocked, because when I first posted even Minecraft videos at the time, I wouldn't get that many views in a day. So thank you. Thank you so much. But let me know down in the comments what you guys would like to see. You know, feel free to subscribe. I'm not gonna say, hey, you gotta subscribe, or no, I'm not like that. Not at all. I just appreciate, and I'm humbled by all the views that I'm getting currently. And yes, I took that long break. And for those of you that have been around since the beginning, and it looks like quite a few of you are, I mean, you all were teenagers at the time. Looking at the stats that I have now, y'all were teenagers when I was first posting up videos. And now you're watching my new videos. And it's, you know, you probably have families now. You probably have a lot going on now. And I am just so humbled and thankful for that. If you guys would like to see some more like face of me or pool playing or other games or anything like that, just let me know. And I want you guys to know that I love you. And thank you so much for being around for the long haul and all the new subscribers. Happy New Year. I hope this is going to be the best years of your life. The best year of your life. But thank you. Thank you. I just felt like throwing this up there. So let me know what you guys would like to see. So guys, this is PoolSharkWizard. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always. And let me know what you guys would like to see. Thank you, and bye-bye.